Oh my God. Hey, everybody. It is, I swear to drunk, I'm not God. How are you? This is season 2, episode 19, and we got Dustin.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
You haven't seen him in a while or
It's
heard
been like
him.
6 episodes, 7 episodes.
What was your last episode?
Ooh, that was a lot of months ago. I don't know.
Was it Ed Gein? Couldn't have been.
No, it was this. Was Ed Gein this season?
Yeah. Pussycat, don't start this shit.
Maybe it was Ed Gein.
What was it for real? Hold on. I'm going to look. No, you know what it was? Vicky Morgan, you and Sal.
Oh, I forgot about that episode.
You and Sal did Vicky Morgan. Yes, that was a long one. And this is going to be a long one too. So today, we're going to be talking about Leonard Lake and Charles Ng. You don't know them niggas. Before. Fantastic. And the poison on this episode is actually the Forbidden Sour. It's basically a bourbon whiskey sour. It's basically a whiskey sour with pomegranate liqueur. Is it liqueur, whatever. It's liquor.
Syrupy liquor.
Yeah, exactly. 1 ounce bourbon, 1 ounce pomegranate liqueur, a half an ounce of simple syrup, and 1 ounce of lemon juice. And shake that shit up in a shaker, and you got yourself a motherfucking Forbidden Sour. And it would have been fire, but that's not what I'm drinking. I'm not drinking shit now because I'm high, but I had a lemon drop.
I had
a lavender lemon drop. You already know that lavender lemon drop is always going to be my go-to. And since I'm just like lazy and I never do these episodes on time, I never get the ingredients for any of the cocktails that I curate. So, you know, it is what it is. One day we'll get it. Next season, I'll get it right. I got plans for next season. I just want everybody to know too that this is the penultimate. This is the second before the last. Next episode is the 20th, and I'll be done. And then I'll come back for Halloween, and we'll do something nice then. And you know, who knows? Maybe I'll actually do some video. That'll be fun.
That will be fun.
That's if I don't gain a ridiculous amount of weight.
How? You work out like 6 days a week.
I do. But if I gain a ridiculous amount of weight, you're not getting any fucking YouTube videos. Sorry. I've already set it up on YouTube and everything. It's just a matter of figuring out how I want it to look and whether or not I actually want to designate the time to editing video. Because see, editing audio is simple. You cut it out. Just cut it out.
Video's a lot more work.
I want the camera to show you and then me and then you and then me. If I can get a camera that's going to do both and it can auto cut, then fantastic. But I don't want to get to a point where I have to have other people involved in this shit like that, because then it turns into a production that I just don't have time for.
I mean, can you not? I mean, at least to start off with, can't you get a camera that just does like a wide view and it's in a space
and then both
like,
of us are just
in
shown
the video at the same time until you get to where.
Yeah. And then when I'm on them by myself, it'll just be more intimate. Yeah, for sure. I think that's totally possible. We'll do, like a widescreen situation. And then I'll set up the vibe where it's kind of, I want to do something that's like jazz clubby.
Widescreen right now, like, not that we would record like this, but
sure.
Like, it was widescreen out, it would be right here. Like, we're not that far apart.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think so. And then I'll just have a little like situation for like my laptop so I can be able to read the synopsis. I think it's totally doable. Totally. It's just about whether or not the mood is right. You know how I am about mood.
Yes. The ambiance has to be
the ambiance has to be perfect, because I do want it to be like almost like a, not spooky, but just like jazz clubby. Yeah, like a vibe. So at night in my apartment, it happens naturally, but I just want to make sure that whatever I do, I do consistently. So I'll figure it out. I got a month or so. It's definitely in the plan to migrate to some visuals. I don't have a problem just doing audio, but people keep mentioning video.
Yeah, they should start.
And I'm so heavily on TikTok that I think at some point motherfuckers are like, you already doing shit. You know what I mean?
You might as well. Video. You might as well go ahead and do a video. You know?
Yep. And I think, and even my the girl that does my eyebrows, Shay, she even said like, damn, if you did video, because some people just don't want to listen.
Some people don't want to listen. No, yeah. Like my dad, when I was talking about podcasts, he was like, you listen to talk radio? Yeah. And I was like, it's not talk radio. He was like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's kind of like, it's kind of like, what is it? NPR.
Yeah,
people listen to NPR.
I was like, I guess.
But like, I was telling my mom, like, Dick Wolf's son had produced basically kind of like a teleplay a radio play that was through podcast, where it was an episodic series through podcast, but it was a drama, kind of like Law and Order, where you just listen to,
there's a lot of those.
And it's very convenient to listen to that because it's like I'm working, so I can't take my eyes off of what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's like an audiobook. It's like an audiobook almost.
Yeah.
Like you're just telling me a story. I've never listened to it, but one of the other podcasts I listen to, I can't think of which one, but they always have advertisements for like this, like some story about like these kids away at this like uppity private school that has like, a special like club that they join, and
and then they have like actors act their parts. I think that shit is cool. So I mean
it's like the radio back in the day.
Exactly, it's radio play.
Exactly what it was.
And then they like do the footsteps and they ring the doorbell. Like I love that type of shit. That's like the old soul.
That's the problem.
You do
People
need
don't
the
have imagination anymore.
Yep. And because that's the old soul in me sometimes, where I'm like, I like that type of shit. I like having to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like silent movies. And
I do.
Like,
I was also a film major, so it makes sense. My imagination runs wild pretty consistently.
Yes. I agree.
So
those nails are pretty.
Oh, thank you. I'm moving on press-ons.
Oh.
Yeah. After this set, I'm moving to press-ons. I'm not spending my money at these fucking places anymore. I'm sick of them.
Look at you. You are on a
I'm being resourceful.
You are being on a mission at the moment.
I'm paying bills.
This is great.
I'm paying bills.
I love it.
I am. And I'd like to go somewhere for Christmas.
Okay.
So
I mean,
So I'm also prepping at the same time.
You not getting your nails done twice a month definitely will save.
Hell yeah, $150 a set. Fuck yeah, $300 a month right there. You hear me? So anyway, okay, let's do this. So This is season 2, episode 19, Leonard Lake and Charles Ng. And then, so basically these motherfuckers were awful. But they were serial killers and kidnappers. They committed these fucked up crimes in the 1980s. For this episode, we're drinking? The Forbidden Sour. I read a book called Die For Me, which is the terrifying story of Charles Ng and Leonard Lake torture murders. Oh. If I were to compare this with something that I've already done, Duct Tape Killer, Toy Box Killer, Colleen Stan, Alton Coleman a little bit.
So they're just like
they all over the place.
Okay.
They were busy. But and you'll see as I get into it, I want to talk about them from the very beginning because you know how I am. I like trying to figure out what make motherfuckers tick.
Yeah.
Like how did we get to these
and how they find
point?
Each other? I'm really curious. How did two crazy people find I was always kind of interested in like when you
birds
have
of a feather flock together like a motherfucker.
But I mean
how do you
like,
find
hi,
each
my
other?
name's Dustin. I like to kill people.
Yeah.
Like,
me and Kira had this conversation on the Duct Tape Killer where we were like, like when you got that homeboy who's just like always talking about tying bitches up, like nothing like goes off in your head that, what the fuck is wrong with you? But for some reason, motherfuckers immediately go to, well, I thought he was kidding. He was real detailed. He showed you a drawing of the torture chamber.
My business.
that he was building.
Maybe they enjoyed it.
I mean, who doesn't want to fuck women? It's like, but the raping and murdering them is not fucking them. So, anyway, so we're going to start from the beginning.
Let's go.
All right, let's do this. I would say sip, but I have nothing to sip. I'm high.
Some water.
Yeah.
And I'm just really not drinking because I ate too many carbs and that was where my calories went this time.
All right. So Leonard Thomas Lake was born October 29th, 1945, which makes him a Scorpio. Bitch. He was born in San Francisco, California to Elgin Lake and Gloria. Now, they had another son. His name was Donald. And a daughter named Sylvia. Elgin was a U.S. Navy sailor and a chronic fucking alcoholic.
That goes together, doesn't it?
I mean, how many stories have I started like this?
Well, I mean, how many sailors are not alcoholics?
Yeah, I mean, shit, I'm just an accountant and I'm an alcoholic, so I get it.
I get it.
Now, the marriage was awful. Elgin decided it was best to leave the family, and he did.
Oh, okay.
Elgin left the family. He left and he went to Seattle, Washington. And Gloria abandoned. She felt abandoned, that is. And she took care of the 3 children by herself. So there was Donald, there was Leonard, and there was Sylvia. She took care of them by herself.
In the 40s.
But she moved in the fucking, and then moved to the projects.
Oh, okay.
Because she didn't really have a choice in the matter. Now, given the times, Gloria felt it was best to get back with Elgin because she was like, I'm
broke
popped.
and I can't do nothing.
I gotta do something.
I mean, she couldn't even legally like have a bank account probably at that point.
No.
Or buy a house or get a credit card.
She would have needed a man of some sort.
That sucks.
So she went after Elgin to repair the marriage.
She could have found another man. But...
Probably. Now, when Gloria asked Leonard if he'd like to go with her and the siblings to Seattle, Washington, he had originally said no. Now, he was around 6 at this time. And when they arrived at the train station, Leonard freaked the fuck out, started crying, wanted to go, and changed his mind. But his mom was like, I only have tickets for us, not you. So...
Wait, who just leaves a 6-year-old? Like, who gives a 6-year-old an option?
Grandparents. She's leaving him with grandparents.
Okay, I guess.
Because he was already kind of like established. He was going to kindergarten. That was the biggest thing is she was like, he's about to go to kindergarten. He's already in school. Because she didn't know if it was going to work out with Elgin. But then she didn't want to leave all her kids. So she had just asked him since he was like.
Is he the oldest?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, do you want to? Yeah, you good? You good with grandma?
You want to stay with grandma and grandpa?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, I guess.
And so she went ahead and she took the siblings to Seattle. Who's black?
These people.
Hell no.
Oh, okay.
He said no. Okay, but then like Leonard freaked out. He stayed with the grandparents. Now he had just started kindergarten. She didn't know if Elgin would even take her back. Or her goal wasn't to leave her family. That wasn't the thing. She was just trying to fix everything. Quote, the relationship between Leonard and his mother, wounded by separation, remained unstable for years. Even when she remarried in June of 1956 and invited him to rejoin her, he refused. Gloria had 2 more kids in a new marriage because they didn't work out with Elgin.
Clearly.
And Leonard was cordial with them. Okay. He kept contact with her, but he never really continued the relationship for real, unless he like needed some shit from her.
So wait. So she just never got her son back. So she like went to go get Elgin.
She technically did because she pops up again. It's just that he didn't care anymore. By the time she was like,
I mean, you abandoned me now. I'm like,
he's officially abandoned.
Now you left me. Now I'm 12,
but it's also because she keeps giving this child a choice. It's like children, it's like, motherfucker, you come with me. Now, life with his grandparents was not bad though. He went to summer camp. He had his own shit. He had his own room. He had his own toys. He spent and she knew that about.
Spoiled.
Yeah, she was like, I'm in the fucking project.
2 other kids.
So he spent time in the mountains. He was hiking. He was like an outdoorsman. He was growing into an outdoorsman. He spent time as a teenager with his cousin, who was 9 years younger. They were playing with Leonard's chemistry set where they his cousin saw him melting mice in acid.
Okay.
Apparently, he had an entire rodent world where he built buildings and mazes and shit. But when they died, he felt like it made more sense to melt them.
He didn't bury them.
No,
they were dead already.
No, they were dead already.
That doesn't really bother me that much, actually.
Well, but most kids would just bury it.
I mean, it's
melted in some acid is wild.
It's kind of like.
I mean, it's a method of disposal.
Yeah, it's disposing.
But it's also incredibly dangerous, which is like, why does your child have
I don't know why
acid?
he has acid melting things, but I mean, okay, wait. If his little cousin
I had a chemistry set too, by the way.
9 years younger than him. Yeah. How old was he while they were doing that? Like, was he like? He's like, I mean, how old is this little cousin that's playing? This chemistry set with
1956 is when he was invited to rejoin her. So that would have been. He was born in 45, so he would have been like 11 at that point. So
playing with 3-year-old?
Now he's playing. Yeah, I mean, he's just a cousin. I mean, shit. I played with Tasir. Tasir's 10 years younger than me. Me and Tasir did shit together all the time.
I could see. I mean, yeah, you took him places because he was your little cousin.
I didn't take him nowhere. We played. I allowed him to play with my toys.
Okay.
He allowed.
Okay, I did that. I did things like that. I had
and we
little
played
cousins
games together.
I gave like remote control that it wasn't turned on. It wasn't plugged in.
Yeah, it was like, you do that.
Yeah.
But see, the difference was Tasir was always an old soul because he could always play the game. Even when he was young. He figured that shit out. You'd be like, you pay. What does she eat? This bitch.
Is it something she's supposed to have?
Luna? What is
So
that?
Luna has something, y'all. I don't know what it is. Let's find out.
Oh my God, she just dug up some old shit.
Oh.
Oh, these are the cushions to my headphones. Here, you can have this old COVID mask. Jesus, this bitch ain't never done. So now, okay, so yes, he melted the bodies. Now, the cousin said he would never forget because they turned into like this ugly green liquid.
Okay.
I
don't know. It kind of.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Now, while he maintained a decent relationship with his cousins and his sisters, Leonard had a problem with his brother Donald. Donald had been injured in a train accident when he was 9, and this left him somewhat mentally disabled. And so Leonard felt that, quote, he's a leech. He's better off dead.
Oh.
Yep.
That's harsh.
Because apparently Donald was receiving disability payments and Leonard thought that was deplorable. He's like, no. He felt that anyone...
projects, it kind of goes together.
That's what... Thank you. But he's a fucking hypocrite.
Not to anybody that is on disability.
But 100%. Like, how are you going to be mad at people taking government handouts? I mean, that's...
on disability.
But I also think that that's where it started. I think that's where it started because she was on public assistance. Now... Leonard felt that he was a leech. Now he felt anyone collecting welfare.
Yeah, it was
a fucking leech. He felt they were of no use. He felt they were completely incompetent.
Oh.
Way strict. She eating an old box. I'm gonna just let her have it. If you took from the system, you should be punished. That's what he said. Leonard thought Donald was a burden to his mother. And they would never be close. So he just had a personal issue with his brother being mentally unstable because of a fucking accident.
Though. Like, I mean, no matter why he's mentally like,
no,
he's not mentally. It's not like he's mentally unstable and acting like he's mentally challenged. So like, I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's like you're a dick.
Head injury.
Yeah, you're a fucking asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Leonard's high school years were very interesting. He worshipped ancient Nordic gods. Then he became a Buddhist. Then an atheist.
Okay.
By 18, he was getting into some dark shit. He loved this book called The Collector, which helped catapult his fantasies into something a little bit more sinister. So The Collector was a book by John Fowles. It's a chilling thriller about a guy named Frederick Clegg who becomes obsessed with a woman named Miranda Gray. He kidnaps her, keeps her in the basement, believing that if he can just make her spend time with him, she'll eventually fall in love with him.
Okay.
The story switches between Clegg's perspective and Miranda's diary entries, showing how their twisted relationship unfolds. It's a tense look at control and obsession with a lot of psychological depth.
Sounds like a good book.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind reading.
Yeah, I think the book sounds kind of good. I
mean, it's given like 50 Shades of Grey.
Without consent.
Without consent. Yeah, for sure. Now, by 1964, Leonard enlisted in the Marine Corps, where he learned about weapons, guerrilla warfare, explosives, and chemicals.
Okay.
In the Corps, he became a radar technician, and then he studied aircraft radar in North Carolina. Now, while visiting family in South Carolina, he met this woman by the name of Karen Lee Minersman. She was 18. By 1966, Leonard was sent off to Vietnam, and their communication stopped. Then they started talking again, but he was assigned to California. Now, while in California, he was in California, that is. Karen expressed interest in something serious, specifically with him. You know, she was like...
Because that's what you do at 19.
Come on. In the 60s, for sure. Now, Lake would eventually propose, and Karen joined him in California. Karen quickly realized that Leonard had a problem.
Oh, okay.
He liked to control her sexually. And he made lewd jokes about handing her off to his Marine friends.
Oh, he liked to share.
Yep. He took it as joking at first, or she took it as joking at first, but soon realized that Leonard wasn't fucking kidding. He acted more like he wanted her as his slave, not a wife.
Did he want to watch?
Well, we gonna kind of get to what he into, because he not different, but he just fucked up. Because there's an easy way to do this shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
this
Like, he just
kinky.
made this difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you can make this some sexy shit.
I guess in the 50s, maybe not 60s. I mean, I'm sure there were somebody else that was
Hell
into it. It was probably
Fuck
a lot
yeah.
harder.
There were sex cults that did this shit all the time. There were women who blatantly wanted to be a part of
sex
them.
cult. You're right.
Now, she didn't enjoy it. She found herself submitting often because she's married to him. And then in 1970, he volunteered for a second tour in Vietnam. Now, at this time, Karen is living with his grandparents, and they left San Francisco and they moved to Gate, California, which is in Central California. Now, while he was in Vietnam, Leonard is a radar technician stationed in Da Nang, where ultimately the U.S. lost 60,000 people.
The war we actually didn't win. Oh,
Yeah.
That never really happened
At all.
technically.
He repaired machinery, but would later boast about killing a lot of people. And the hardest thing he had to do was zip up a body bag. That's what he claimed was the hardest thing he had to do. Now, this man was so desperate for some action that he climbed a radar tower during a storm to get in on what was happening below.
Oh, okay. He really wanted to be.
He desperate.
So he had fun.
Yeah, he did. He didn't have his own stories of combat, so over time he made them up. He dreamed of a violent combat and would later say that Vietnam was a great experience.
Because
I had a great
nobody
time.
In real life
Nobody
had
ever said
actually
that.
experienced it.
Unless you're mentally ill.
Well, yeah.
Now, meanwhile, back at the ranch, Leonard is also imagining that his wife back home is unfaithful. So
Does
Leonard,
it matter? You wanted her to fuck your Marine buddy.
thank
so,
you.
I mean, she might be fucking your
well,
Marine
with
buddies.
his permission.
I mean, I guess.
Now, Leonard asked to speak to a military mental health expert because he was like, something ain't right. And the
At least
doctor
he identified it.
Look, accountability. The doctor diagnosed him with impending schizophrenia with hysterical neurosis.
Impending?
Impending.
So
Like,
it just
dude.
hasn't happened yet, but you're eventually you're gonna be schizophrenic.
They like that shit about to pop off real soon. It's just a matter of when.
I've never heard of impendings.
Now this is also the 60s. But then they recommend that he go back home and get treatment. So they released him in 1970. They were like, here's the thing. Get the fuck about
So
it.
basically, actually, you're crazy.
You're
and we
too
don't
mentally ill to even be here.
That sucks. That's what the military and that's what we do to our veterans. Though, like we
we take the ones who weren't crazy before and make them crazy,
and then we release them into the world
and then
without
be like,
any
good
resources.
luck. Hope it works out. Now, he was actually declared a danger to himself and to others. He spent 2 months in the psychiatric ward. Karen was fucking worried. I mean, he was starting to act really fucking weird. Quote, Lake invaded a storage area one night to steal government property. Karen couldn't recall exactly what he sought, but knew it seemed important to Lake. And during the furtive operation, Lake failed to find the object of his search, which sent him into a deep depression. He blamed the failure on an attack of diarrhea.
My stomach made me do it.
So he returned to his bed and began to eat chocolate all night.
What's that gonna do?
The reason, he said, was that chocolate caused constipation.
Oh,
If he became constipated, he could return to the storage area and carry out his original mission. Now, in 1971, they were like, you got to get the fuck up out of here. They medically discharged him. They're like, negative. Now, Karen and Leonard would eventually buy a home in San Jose. They enrolled in college. They were looking for jobs, but Leonard couldn't get a full-time job. So he insisted that Karen work at a topless bar to make ends meet.
He should just put on a suit
And a hat.
And
a cane.
And get out there.
And she did.
It's the 70s.
She did just that.
Oh, man.
Leonard didn't work. She worked 50 hours a week while Leonard was at home gardening and collecting all her motherfucking money.
So he was
a pimp.
Your brother was a leech from taking money from the government.
But you taking women from
went
bitches.
home and got your wife
Yep.
shaking her titties for
Basically.
some dollars.
So then he started to pick up his domineering ways by trying to administer controlled beatings, by slapping her in the face and then escalating to punching her, asking her if she enjoyed it. She did not.
I was like,
this was not what she considered
let me
foreplay.
show you what it feels like.
He considered that foreplay. Oh, but things would get worse. He wanted her to pose in like nude photos all the time, but then he also wanted to swing because he couldn't reach orgasm with her anymore.
You know, that's something that scares me. Like having sex with the same person for like,
you know what,
I'm saying smoking the same or eating the same edible for 10 years.
It
Like
gets
eventually
old.
has to get old.
Yeah, like my mom was saying that the reason why she was never married because she doesn't understand the concept of being with the same person.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I mean,
she was like, that is got to be boring as fuck, and she just rather be by herself.
Yeah, I don't want that either, though.
Yeah,
so,
I
like,
don't want
I mean,
that
there is
either.
a part of me that, like, I was actually, thinking about this the other day as I was watching TV, and how, like, there is that lack of like intimacy in my life at the moment,
Sure.
and like, how would I be okay with somebody that was just for that? We did everything together as a couple, but we slept with other people. And we just didn't talk about it. But like you came home every night, we cuddled, we fucked still, but bills, like household, like lifestyle wise, we were a couple. But then occasionally we went and dibbled and dabbled.
Here's my
Or
thing.
maybe we did it together.
Here's my,
But I don't know if I wanna
feel
know.
like I've talked about this before, but here's my opinion on it. I told you, I don't give a fuck as long as everybody involved knows. My only issue ever, I don't mind sharing my food. I just don't like secrets.
Okay.
That's my only issue. I don't like the secrets. Now,
Would
the
you be
only
okay with
problem,
being married to somebody and sharing them though.
yeah, why not?
I don't know. I mean,
I
there's a
wouldn't mind
difference.
as long as that is a part of it. But what the expectation is that if I were to marry you and we decided that we were going to do our thing, do not look at me weird when I do my thing.
Oh, 100%.
Because some guys will
Yeah,
feel like
100%.
women can't do that. And so to me, now I feel like now you got to get into like the nuances, which are, do we share these experiences or not? Because there are some people who really don't want to hear about that
I want to
shit.
hear about it. I don't want to know. If
I
was
don't,
doing it,
I don't need to know the gory details. I don't want to see no pictures.
I don't want to know
need
her.
to know none of that.
I don't want to know him or whatever it is.
Yes. Now, then the question is, do I mind, and this is a part of the nuances, is like, do I mind you all going on dates? Do I mind you all going on trips? Is this a whole other relationship or is this just sexual? Is this one of those situations where you go over somebody's house and you sleep with them and you come home? Or is this, I mean, I think that's why a lot of people do not enjoy the idea of sharing their food, because there is always the possibility
That
of
you can lose
losing the person that you fucking with.
Yeah, you can't have
or that you gonna fall in love with a person
somebody
that you
else.
fucking
Yeah,
with.
you can't have a relationship with them. Like if we were married, you would have to it would just have to be about sex.
Yes.
And it couldn't be something you're doing every night either. Like this can't just
no,
be
you
like,
can't be over this bitch house every Friday.
yeah, or just a different bitch every Friday.
No.
Like
No, this is just like, these are like hall passes.
yeah, it's like, okay, like
Yeah, this
I was
ain't
out,
consistent.
Or today I needed I usually eat Doritos every day, but today I want some
I want some Flamin' Hot
Frito-Lays.
Cheetos.
And
or even if we're on a trip and something happens and we're
100%.
and or we're both
Yeah.
engaged in that situation, okay, that's fine. But
Yeah.
don't make it a regular, it's not a prescription.
It shouldn't
You don't
be-
go to Walgreens and
I feel like
feel
our
it.
norm shouldn't change.
No.
That's consistency.
No.
That would be my thing. Like as long as life is still consistent and everything's happening the way it's always happened.
Yeah. Yeah. But I tell you what, if you marry me, if you think I'm divorcing you, you got the game fucked up. The only way I'm divorcing you is if
can
you
take
are
half and you got
completely
some money.
psychotic. If I like being in a relationship with you and we get fucking married and you do some weird shit, I'm not divorcing you. You know that video, like baby girl, when she told her husband cheated on her, and then she was like, so this is what we're about to do. I'm about to start fucking other people. And
I
he
feel
was
I did
like,
see this.
and he was like, And everybody was like, what? And she was like, I'm about to start fucking other people. And it's cool because we got a business together. Because my expectation is that me and my husband are going to have shit together.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking about I'm not leaving you because I love you so much. Because kind of fuck you. But also, if my expectation of my marriage is that we've probably established some shit together.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously we know I don't want to have kids, but let's say we have business ventures or things
100%.
like that. No, we're not getting a divorce. If our company is predicated on the two dynamics, negative, because that is really gonna piss me off. As a tourist, that part is definitely going to piss me off. So to me, I'm just like, I like the idea of giving people room for error, quote unquote, because it's not really an error if I'm agreeing to it. But do not act like a runaway slave just because we've extended these privileges to each other. I mean, that does not mean every month you get to fuck Bethany. Communicate.
You give them an inch to take a mile. Like,
period.
Unfortunately.
But I tell you what, it's one of those moments. If you take that inch or that mile, I am going a fucking stratosphere
further than you did.
I am going light years away, and I'm going to really hurt your fucking feelings.
Like, sometimes, like, people that have been married for 50, 60 years, they've probably done that to each other.
Absolutely. For sure.
Like,
that's why people would prefer to keep a secret, because people fear retaliation. I think people prefer to keep that dynamic secret because at the end of the day, they have the safety of knowing that the other person doesn't have fuel to do anything to them in return.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, I'm even thinking, like, even if, you get caught, right? So, like, Tim gets caught. Mm-hmm. And now Sally, like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll fuck you for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And they still somehow live in a house together.
Sure.
And now 30 years together, now all of a sudden, 5 years later, they're back in love with each other somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I think people are so quick to just kind of be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, no, that's not how you, I mean, and I also think that, clearly people stayed married for 50, 60 years a long time ago because they had no choice.
Yeah, for sure.
You can be financially independent and be a woman now. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I think, too, like, having so many options, because, if you're willing, women do have their pick of the litter.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
The same way men do. It's just that men are more adventurous in how they move. A lot of women are not frivolous when it comes to fucking. There are a lot that are.
Yeah.
But because of the patriarchy and how it's been built throughout the years and what women are perceived as, they tread lightly with the men that they sleep with. Don't get me wrong. There are women who are hoes.
Oh,
it is what it is. I'm not saying that at all.
No, but
there's some limits that regular schmegula ass women, they just don't do. Like, I got limits.
Yeah, no.
I don't fuck everybody.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I've never have. And not only just because I don't think about it, but because I don't want to deal with what typically comes with it.
Well, that's why I think, like, women can always find sex and a man can always find a relationship.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's 100% facts.
Like,
men have no problem finding relationships.
No, because they can always go find some person,
dumbass bitch that's willing to do everything
it's
they
not
want.
even just women. I mean, you can go find, if you're a
dude,
and you can go find some low self-esteem dude.
Absolutely.
Dudes can always find,
because men know how to settle into what they actually want out of a person.
Yeah, because
they don't settle into the emotion of the person. So, like, a man could be with a woman for 100 years simply because she makes a good fucking meal and she had his kids.
Yep. And be cheating
on her the entire fucking time. But a woman, on the other hand, is looking for a connection.
Yeah, but she can always go find sex because, like, she's always can go find a man that want to fuck.
There's always gonna be a dude that want to fuck. But whether or not she's gonna fuck a dude with substance is the difference.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have a good night? Sure.
Yeah.
But is he gonna treat you like shit and act like he don't even know who you are 100%. The next day? Possibly.
Absolutely.
So I think that it's just it's a slippery slope.
This is a bad segue, so we probably should go back to the episode.
Okay, episode. Hey, so where was I? Okay, so basically, so now things get worse. He wanted her to pose with these photos and shit, and he basically said he didn't orgasm with her anymore.
That sucks.
They tried to do the swinging thing. They only did that once though. So she said, He also started pushing that book, The Collector, on her. She felt he had a God complex because whenever someone would say, "Oh God," he would say, "Yes."
I'm gonna start doing that. No.
Even though he was possessive and he didn't like the attention she received from other men, she found pictures of other women that he had taken, and he was making her very nervous. And she felt that his gun collection was also incredibly concerning.
Yeah, weird pictures, weird man.
Yeah.
Why does he have guns? A gun control.
He was in Nam.
I mean,
he was in Vietnam.
I'm just saying that, but it's still.
He was extremely fucking paranoid.
It's crazy.
He refused to get a phone.
He's been going to the mental doctors, and they let him have guns.
They said
afterwards.
he had impending schizophrenia.
But he's
so he refused to get a phone. She eventually convinced him to set up the account, and he put it under a fake name because he said that if the caller asked for the non-existent person, then that meant that they weren't really a friend or an acquaintance because they would know who he was when they called.
I think it's no longer impending.
Yeah. Now, Karen would eventually divorce Leonard in 1972 after he kicked her out of their fucking home. When she decided to rent her own apartment, he broke into her apartment and burned her clothes with acid. And once she caught him in her apartment, they argued, and he admitted that he had been spying on her. And all of this was because when she was at the Topless bar, she was walking to the car, and a gentleman said, you know, "Would you like for me to walk you to your car?" Leonard caught that. That was why he did that. And he went back to their house. They were living in a trailer at a time, and threw all her shit on a lawn. And then she collected all her shit and took her money, stopped giving her money to him, went to go get an apartment. He broke into her apartment, destroyed her clothes. And then one other time she caught him in her apartment and he tried to actually fight her. That's when he was like, "I've been spying on you. I know who you are with. I know where you've been going." And she was like, "Wait, what?"
Crazy much.
Now, Leonard had the fucking nerve to be upset about this divorce. His sister would later say, like, he was crying a lot.
Well, because he clearly loves her. I mean, in his own...
No, he lost control.
Kind of.
There's a difference.
Wait.
He's an incel.
Well, I mean, he's not. He has schizophrenia. Like,
oh my God.
He needs medication.
He does, but he's also incredibly possessive, and he knows it. I mean, he went to his own mental health professional and told him, like, something wrong with me. Nigga, again, you know something's wrong with you.
Doctors, again, not listening to the people. They not. Like, listen, it hurts.
It hurts. Now, after the divorce, Leonard moved to San Francisco. He started placing personal ads in the paper, and by late 1972, he got a response from Jennifer Gordon, who was 28 years old. He went from sweet to freaky real quick. Quote, "Within 3 months, the intimacy turned, in Jennifer's words, kinky. She said, I was stupid."
Well,
not
again,
naive.
Accountability.
She said, not naive, stupid. She said, our sex was aberrant. There was bondage. There was swinging. He liked to tie me up. He wasn't mean or hard-hearted. It was kind of funny in a way. She said she emphasized that Lake never let her tie him up, and he always needed to be in complete control. So then Leonard convinces her to become a prostitute.
See, that's really, like, he loses me. Like, I mean, that's where he would lose me, at least. Because, like, everything else, tie me up.
Tie me up.
I'm a little freaky, you know. I'm like, taking the test, you know. But
like sensory deprivation, the ability to like somebody putting power into the situation and being like, no, I want your hands over here. Mm-hmm. That is sexy as fuck. Yeah. Somebody deciding that they don't want you to see shit. That's sexy as fuck.
Yep.
But
it's it creates a sensation that is.
That's different.
As long as you don't mess with my breathing. I don't really like.
Well, a good choking.
Well, it depends on. Okay. Anyway, like it depends. Okay. But
I don't want to tell y'all my business. But I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with a good
prostitution.
Choke. Yeah, but to wake up the next morning and be like, oh, I think you should sell ass.
Yeah, that's
like
not
negative.
Like,
you
should sell some ass. I look like
she obliged.
What does this man look like?
He would start taking nude photos of her. He wasn't bad looking. He did start to bald later, though. But she even had a few of her friends do the same. He was incredibly charming, though. He would even take pictures of her in her sleep. he was never
Glad the internet
satisfied.
didn't
He was
exist.
one of those people, his libido was never satisfied. Now with crazy people, this is what I know to be true. Crazy people have a sexual drive that is insane. You know, so you know, when you put fuel in a car, your car knows, boom, I'm good.
So
crazy people don't have that.
So I remember like I had some family went to a school called Southside Occupational Academy it's like on 76 and over west somewhere. But it's a school for people that are mentally challenged in one way or another.
Especially
they have different yes. But this point of the school was more to teach you to be to kind of go out to work. So they would find them jobs that they could do and like they had like contracts with like different places. I remember like my cousin like had a job at the Hyatt where he's like, and he would always end up getting fired. But you know, it was occupational, so it was kind of teaching you to be able to survive in the world. Yeah. But I remember when I was growing up, because I had to be like what? Because they're a little bit older than me. They graduated at like 21, so I was probably like 9, 10. My mom was like, all of them were pregnant. Like, I remember, and she's like, well, that's that's what they know how to do. Yeah, they know how to fuck. Yeah, she's like. She's like, and they're almost stuck in. She kind of explained it too. She's like, a lot of them are stuck in
primitive
teenage kind of years, and so like their hormones are kind of there. That's where their mind is at. Yep. So she was like, "That's how you end up," and I was like, "Okay."
Yep, that sexual part of themselves.
Talking to me about that. It was a conversation I probably shouldn't have been listening to, but
probably. But it is a sexual development issue for sure, because you find that a lot of people who have mental illnesses like that, they don't.
Yeah, it's like that bipolar part. It's
they just don't hit. It's not a part of the brain that is satisfied. And so they tap into it. And plus, I've learned too with crazy people who are super sexual, there's a lot that they're willing to do to engage in the feeling. Yeah. So to them, there's nothing that's off
because they're already extreme. So they're kind of like they're always looking for that
and nothing
excitement.
Is off limit. Yeah, that's the thing. Like with certain people who are kind of off a little bit, the motherfuckers will do whatever. They will put on whatever. There's no shame.
On like what? Yeah. What's wrong? Like,
and if it hits them, if they like it, then they'll keep doing it. If they don't like it, they'll stop doing it. But what they like to do, they gonna keep fucking doing. 100%. So no surprise here that he ended up being kind of a freak. He would start, doing the nude photo things with her, and then would start to try to get her friends to do it too with her.
Oh, okay.
So he would. He
was a pimp.
Yeah, I mean the romance phase was fucking.
I think we should just kind of like he wasn't even trying. No. He's like, wait. Because he could got one of them friends. He was going to have a whole house.
Oh, period. He would have just been like Hugh Hefner. Now she was still hooking. But even though the romance phase was over, she was still hooking. They were going 50-50 like roommates because she was like, "You doing too much. I'm a hoe already, but we just gonna ride this shit out."
Did she start using drugs or something? Because why are you gonna just keep hooking? Like you weren't a hooker before you met him, and you.
I think it's too because it's that hippie era. People with free sex, free drugs, post Vietnam.
I thought the hippies was like 60s.
I mean, but I'm saying they're out of it. You think they just gonna be like, oh, it's the 70s. I'm gonna stop being a hippie tomorrow.
That's kind of what happens with decades.
Never.
Like, stuff,
look at black exploitation films like The Mac and shit. All of that is hooker pimp dynamic. Superfly.
I know, now I feel racist when I asked when they were black.
No, hell no. I will tell you when somebody's black.
No, wait. I said now I feel racist because I did ask were they black, and this sounds like
some black shit. Well, his name's also Leonard. So now, so she was still hooking. Now Leonard snapped because he was like, "How dare you stop hooking?" Then he started talking about snuff. She said, quote, "He told me that it involved two people having sex and one kills the other during climax." Lake, Jennifer said, wanted to make a snuff film, and though it would be the ultimate, and thought it would be the ultimate sexual high, she wondered if he would wind up in prison because of this shit. But Lake told her that if he was ever arrested, he would escape the consequences by taking cyanide.
Okay. So you want the ultimate orgasm,
and then you want to die. So why don't we just do this? Why don't you
just do it the other way around? Like you just
Now he said he had a poison in a hollow spot in one of his teeth. But she didn't believe him.
Yeah, I don't either.
She ended up moving out in the summer of 1973. Now, Leonard was also really into the idea of capturing women and making his slaves. He felt it was time to move to someplace rural where he could use his military skills just in case a disaster hit, because he was also a little bit of a doomsday prepper. His plan was to build a bunker, so he moved to Ukiah in Mendocino County, which had a literal population of 12,000 people.
That sounds boring.
So, shockingly, he found a job working for a firm building low-income housing. Fucking hypocrisy. He also enrolled in college where he studied butchery and animal sciences.
So he's smart as hell, though.
He is. Well, he crazy. And a lot of crazy people are.
Line.
He would later convince a woman named Venus,
fucking manipulative as hell,
to let him work on her property. Now, the ranch was kind of a hippie commune that sought to provide a utopia vibe, far away from the city, in fresh air. The goal was to utilize the land, not to pollute it. So they had bylaws that disallowed the use of pesticides, but they also didn't allow guns. They would, for entertainment, host these Renaissance festivals. Ooh. And one day, a resident who we know now as Venus overheard Leonard speaking on the topic of alternative energy sources. And so she felt that, hey, maybe he can help me out with my property.
Okay.
So she found him incredibly charming. Their relationship, of course, turned personal, because one thing Leonard gonna do is get some coochie.
Man, clearly.
He also, wanted to take pictures of her. She wasn't with that shit. I also got the vibe reading about Venus that Venus was older. So she wasn't with that shit.
I'm good. I mean, she had properties.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah,
and he told her his swan song, which was this was his swan song. I was in an orphanage. I was abandoned by my mother, and I'm willing to kill my brother. Yeah, fuck that guy. That's the guy that you have sex with. That is the dude that you have sex with.
Well, you know, though, I guess that's no different than...
Women love danger.
Yeah, I was like, that's no different than, you know...
Yeah, for sure.
Little young girls running around wanting to sleep with the dudes that they know are shooting each other
Exactly, for sure. It's the dangerous part about it. Now, he also shared his doomsday prepping Miranda project. He was burying guns everywhere and building a shelter to provide refuge for those fleeing the city.
Cool.
Yep.
I mean, you know, he doesn't sound all bad. I'm waiting for like the horror. I mean, I know it's coming, but like
we got some ways to go. She knew something was off, but eventually handed the property over to him anyway. And so Leonard was a menace in fucking Ukiah. He wanted to take new pictures of pretty much every woman he encountered.
When there's only 12,000 people,
with or without their permission.
Oh,
now
what kind of cameras he running around where he can do it without their permission? Like, they weren't that small in the 70s.
He had all types of shit. He had made all types of shit work. This dude was busy. He had a one-horned goat. Oh, and you assumed that I was saying that he gave a fuck that they saw him taking the picture. That no.
Good point.
They knew. They were just like, nigga, you did not ask. Okay. So, but anyway, so he was a voyeur though. So he had this one-horned goat that he named Sir Lancelot.
What happened to the horn?
He was just born that way. And they associated it with a unicorn, right? And so he would take Sir Lancelot to the festival and shit, and he would have Sir Lancelot prancing around to attract younger bitches. And you're probably thinking, oh younger bitches, women in their 20s. Nope, girls as young as 10.
I knew you were going to say that because like 20-year-olds aren't impressed with unicorns.
Girls as young, I mean, I would low-key be impressed with a one-horned goat, but I find the name goat funny as fuck, so I couldn't even survive being around a goat.
I like goats.
My aunt got accosted by a goat
really
when she was in Ireland, and she was so terrified. She dipped off from her tour and ended up in a cave, and there was a fucking big ass goat in the entryway, and she couldn't get out.
I don't know. That sounds like a ram. Like, I was thinking like, okay, so the conservatory when I worked there used to have like, they used to do like goat yoga. And like they would have,
they
like,
cute as fuck.
They are, and they would have like little goat. They would have the goats come and like in the summer, and you can come visit them. They would have them like kind of cleaning out the
that's cute.
So they were so cute. I used to go sit at my lunch all the time, look at the goats.
Bah.
They can't climb on me because they be pissing and shitting on you when you
Yeah, they
yoga.
do. They
I'm
be
good.
busy.
I don't really do
And then I just think goat is just a funny word. Okay, we got to move on.
Okay.
All right. So now he would take pictures of them posing in like these provocative positions, acting like he was a fucking accomplished photographer. Okay.
Got it. Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, damn. You know what it's giving? Who dude that did Rosemary's Baby? Roman Polanski. That's what it's giving. Now, the community was worried about Leonard's increased paranoia too. I mean, he was like, okay, you fucking with the kids, that's fucked up, that's kind of weird, but you also real paranoid. One girl named Darlene, he met in 1972, was in her early teens and had a relationship with him, lost her virginity with him, but seemed to never actually have issues with him. He never seen. That was Dustin, Luna.
And you delayed?
She like, I'm on alert. Luna, pussycat.
It's okay.
It's okay, mama. We're okay. She was like, I was in the middle of my high nap. She's so high on CBD right now. Okay, so the community was worried about his paranormal. So he finds this girl, I said paranormal. You know what the fuck I mean.
He's just burying guns in this area. Like,
he is. Just,
kids find them.
He don't give a fuck.
Clearly.
Now, one girl, Darlene, he met in 1972, was in her early teens, had a relationship with him, lost her virginity with him, but seemed to never actually have issues with him. He didn't tie her up. He didn't do anything weird. He actually seemed to really like Darlene. She said, I mean, he didn't really know.
Madonna complex? So
If,
she was like
possibly. But she didn't really know, like, if he really, really liked her. I mean, it's hard to also tell if he really, really liked her, but it seemed like he did because he keeps in touch with her throughout the whole fucking book. Now, by 1980, I'm sorry. By 1980,
so he's like 40 now.
He would even ask her to marry him.
Oh.
And she wanted to wait until she was 18 and he didn't want to wait, so she refused him. Her parents sent her to boarding school and the relationship
So he was like 40
end.
trying to marry a 16-year-old,
Basically.
17-year-old. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now he
he
continued to
60s.
pursue young women. He started to use aliases. One was Tom Myers. He had he had people hanging out at the ranch in the nude all the time. You know, he'd have visitors and he'd be like, are you nervous about naked people? Because I got a lot of naked people at my house.
Okay, so, nobody's just ever invited me to a party.
You probably
where a bunch
shouldn't.
Of
I don't think I
naked-
look that great naked.
I mean, not yet. I don't. Give me another 4 months, and I'm coming to Miami to go to a new beach.
I know that's right. Wait, what?
There's a new beach in Miami.
I mean, that does not surprise me.
But no, I could have seen myself in the 60s, running off to some hippie commune.
Yeah, I can see you doing it too.
Like fun.
Yeah. I can see you doing it.
I mean, we're just gonna go be happy. I like being happy. I like people.
I like being happy too, but I don't want you trying to touch my coochie just because I'm naked.
I mean, consent.
I don't know you. Yeah, people gotta relax.
I
feel like
I don't like coochie.
Nudity gives people yeah, that's true. But I just also feel like nudity gives people license to feel like they can just walk up and touch shit. Which I just feel like as long as it's respectful and I will walk up and down this beach as long as you're not gawking at me.
Well, I mean, I feel like when
that
you go
whole point is supposed to be naked freedom.
But I think that's what it is when you go to New Beach. I mean, I've never been to one.
Me neither.
So,
I think I would be overwhelmed.
But I think
can't
that's
just look at all
I would
these
be
people.
probably the creep. That's gawking.
Yeah, because I mean, it's unusual.
It would depend because in real life, what I want to see and what I envision a new beach being is not what I'm gonna get. When I get there.
You're gonna see somebody's grandpa with his little shriveled up dick and his big ass belly. That's what you're gonna see. His hairy fucking chest. His back is hairy. His thighs are hairy. Everything's
that's
hairy.
gonna be the majority, and then that's gonna be 90% of the beach.
It's not gonna be Brad Pitt's on the beach.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
There's gonna be a few of them.
I mean, you're gonna sprinkle,
but. There'll probably be
it won't be a
other
lot,
Brad
though.
Pitts. I'll be a Brad Pitt by then.
Exactly. Now, claiming to be involved with a Viking cult and claiming to be an Odinist. An Odinist is someone who practiced Odinism, which is a modern pagan religion that focuses on the worship of the Norse gods, particularly Odin, the chief deity in Norse mythology.
Okay.
Now, Odinists often emphasize a connection to nature, the importance of ancestral heritage, and the values of honor, courage, and loyalty. He was a known shit talker and being more and more of a fucking problem to the community, the people were so sick of him. They just wanted to unplug.
How do you because it's a town of 12,000 people. You're just
a fucking nuisance. You're the one.
You're the one.
Yeah. Now, eventually, he would get married to Clara Lynn Cricket.
It's one of those towns you get kicked out of.
Period. And he will. Clara Lynn Cricket Belaz. Cricket, I think, is the dopest nickname I have ever fucking heard.
Cricket?
Cricket is a dope ass nickname. That's a dope fucking nickname. As I was like, her name keeps popping up, and I'm like, yo, I want to be called Cricket.
I don't know. For some reason, when I hear cricket, I think of two things.
Annoying bugs.
Well, I think of Jiminy.
Oh. Let your conscience be your guide.
And then, I don't know. For some reason, it gives me stripper.
But that's okay. That's okay. But it's definitely hippie. He started to get involved with cricket, and cricket.
Isn't there a game called Cricket?
Yes. He was involved. They were involved in sexual shit together. Even though they were together, she was bisexual. She didn't seem to mind sharing her food at fucking all, and she wanted to be involved. He can
do whatever he's about to do. Crazy. It's willingly. People are willing to do things.
He was consistently writing to his former girlfriend, though, Darlene, showing her pictures and images of him and his wife Cricket having sex. He was also implying that Cricket was jealous of Darlene, so he's trying to make tension, and ultimately wanted her as much as, and she ultimately wanted her as much as he did.
Oh,
who knows if that was true?
Okay, he's like,
yeah. Now, over time, the neighbors were growing more and more suspicious of, because his thing, he was just one of them motherfuckers. He just wanted multiple bitches. That's really what it boiled down to. But he also just wanted
one woman wasn't getting it for him.
I mean, but he also wanted to just sleep with everybody because he doesn't stop. Now, over time, the neighbors were growing more and more suspicious of what was going on at Lake's ranch. And one day, Lake told a neighbor, "I could kill everyone on this ranch one by one. I could go to every house with an automatic weapon and no one would ever know."
See, and that's where
now we know, though.
Now we know.
Now they had a ban on guns in the community, and Lake's flagrant disregard of the rules made everyone extremely fucking uncomfortable. And then one day,
where are the cops?
It's
a town of 12,000. Where's the sheriff?
Yeah,
or the deputy? Where is
probably 37,000 miles away. Now, one day, Lake's property blew up.
Oh.
And not only did the property blow up, but the heat from the blow up blew up the ammunition that he had on the property.
That sounds...
Lake went to jail.
I bet he did.
And got a year probation, but the committee asked him and his wife, Cricket, to sell the fucking ranch and fucking leave. They were like, you gotta go. And so they did. They moved to Philo. Now, Philo was 20 miles away from Ukiah. There were 150 people in Philo.
Oh, well, if he's annoying 12,000, imagine how annoying he's going to be to 150.
Oh, my God. Now, here he juggled more women.
All family?
He juggled more women. He basically fucked the town.
I was like, how many women were like, wait, it's like...
Now, this was all while he was in a relationship with Cricket. Now, his sexual appetites were insatiable. They would even recruit a girl for three-way sex. He expressed his desires to Connie Richards, who was 18 at the time, who just wanted a fucking job, but she ended up sleeping with him and Cricket.
Oh, now, were they giving her a job?
Now, the thing is that Leonard would talk to anybody that would listen about him, his lifestyle, and what his interests were. He didn't have a problem doing that. He didn't have a problem with telling niggas about him and Cricket. He didn't have a problem trying to
didn't care. He was not ashamed.
No, and asking people whether or not they wanted to be in pictures. He didn't have a problem being open about none of that.
Love it. This is honest.
That's what you can give him. Now, Connie was told that Leonard even wanted to sleep with his sister, Janet.
Oh,
Janet was his half sister.
It's a little sick.
Yeah.
No, not a little sick. It's a lot of sick.
It's a lot of sick. By September 1981, Cricket and Leonard would be married, and Connie stayed in Philo just 3 months as a sex object. She was just their sex
like
object.
the honeymoon was like 3 months. We
got us a bitch for 3 months. Now, Leonard had a secret P.O. box, and an acquaintance of his told a young man by the name of Charles Ng that he knew some place for him to hide out. Now, Charles Ng was running from the law. He needed to keep a real low profile. And so since Connie was leaving, Ng had a spot.
Okay.
So now who the fuck is Charles Ng? Now, Charles Cheetah Ng was born December 24th, Christmas Eve, 1960, in British Hong Kong, to Kenneth Ng and Oi Ping. They had 2 girls and 1 boy. So he was the only boy. Now, Charles grew up pretty well. His father was a hard-working, supportive father that made sure that his family had access to comfortable home and even a car, which was actually a luxury in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Now, Charles was into martial arts, super heavy. He was a big Bruce Lee fan. Charles was very disciplined as a child, not allowed to fight. His father desperately wanted him to seek out an education. So Kenneth Ng, the father, said, "I feel education is very important. You know, schooling in Hong Kong was quite tough because good school is hard to get in." Ng's sisters were doing well, but Charles, not so much. As Charles ignored his studies, his father became more and more frustrated and instead would punish him by hitting him with a cane.
Well, that's not going to resolve the issue.
Yeah, but see, he knows it. He said, "I was very angry because I want him good. I beat him with a stick, but I didn't know. And now they're teaching the different way than the old way, what we do." Asked if he restrained the boy in order to prevent his attempts at escaping punishment, Kenneth answered, "Yes, I beat him very hard, and I not permit him to run away. And even my wife tried to stop me. I feel very bad and angry if he doesn't have a good result." Tears welled up in the little man's eyes. Now, I look back, well, maybe this is not the way to teach children. Now I know. But you know,
hindsight's always 20/20.
It's always 20/20. Kenneth said, I did it because I love him. I want my children to be good. Charles just withdrew. He became antisocial. He became awkward. He didn't have any pets. He didn't have any friends. And he really didn't have any pets because they kept cooking the motherfuckers. They cooked his motherfucking chicken. He didn't have a dog. He had chicken. You racist.
I didn't say anything.
Now, it would be Kenneth joining the Army Reserve that influenced Charles to join the service. He was impressed by the uniform. He was impressed by training sessions. And by 10, Charles allegedly received psychiatric treatment because he stole a photo from his friend's home. Charles had a little bit of a kleptomaniac personality.
So we're trying to put the klepto with the...
Yeah, he started harassing the Western children in nearby parks. He hurled Molotov cocktails from rooftops. He even engaged in arson. And by age of 15, he was busy.
This is my point. Okay, so like kids haven't gotten bad. They've clearly always been bad.
They always bad. They always bad. And by the age of 15, Ng would be expelled. Now, his father sent him to England, where his uncle lived, to go to a boys' school. And Charles started stealing again and felt like his uncle didn't want him there. He was sent back to Hong Kong. On a student visa, he arrived in California in 1979 to live with an aunt. And
they sent him to live with a woman.
Yeah, they sent him to live with an aunt in America. Now, he was enrolled in Notre Dame and dropped out after 1 semester.
How the hell did he get in?
Asian.
He dropped him. He got expelled from high school at 15. And Notre Dame just let him in. I'm so confused.
Without even telling his parents, Ng enrolled in the U.S. Marine Corps, even though he was not a citizen.
I was like, wait, how did he do that?
By fraudulently stating that he was born in Bloomington, Indiana. And later he would say that this was under the advice of a recruiting sergeant.
I can believe that, actually, though.
Now, Ing was...
What a time to be alive without technology.
Yeah. Now, or like decent record keeping. Now, Ing was adapting quickly to training. He was in boot camp. He was preparing for combat. And as someone interested in martial arts, training was easy to him. He learned about different types of weapons and was very interested in surviving different scenarios. He started to pick up magazines on survivalism and sought out his tribe, men of the same ilk.
No, see, I don't think you should let those kind of people go to the service. I think you should,
yeah. Now, as a Marine, he was still a loner, but he was able to find a few friends who shared his interests in kung fu movies. He was good with nunchucks, as Ing was a huge Bruce Lee fan. So, super popular. Now, a fellow Marine, Ray Guzman, recalled that Ing liked to practice martial arts, and he would show off by someone holding a pencil, and then he would kick the pencil out of their hand. That was like his thing. That was his thing.
He's like, haha, look
what I can do. And then he
high I can jump up.
Yeah. Now, when he completed his training in Hawaii as a gunner, he met all requirements and did what he was told. They said he was a good motherfucking Marine. His fellow Marines felt that Ing was an outstanding weapons handler. He never drank, he never did drugs, or chased women. And while he was praised, he would experience racism. He didn't really know how to connect with the rest of the Marines, but they felt that he was tough, and they knew this from his martial arts and his survivalism. Then in 1981, Ing was arrested after stealing automatic weapons and military.
I was waiting for him to start stealing again.
And military equipment from the armory in Hawaii. His behavior in the Marines had already raised concerns due to his violent tendencies and fascination with weapons, but this theft marked a major turning point. Quote,
terrorism, maybe?
Officers of the Naval Investigative Service, the NIS, arrested Charles Ing and charged him with conspiracy to commit larceny of military weapons, theft of weapons, including machine guns, grenade launchers, rifles, and pistols, and burglary to common theft. The value of the missing arms exceeded $11,000. Yeah, this is 81.
So this actually could have been like the CIA, and they could have been going to got caught.
Possibly, but he actually broke in to steal that shit.
Yeah, he got caught.
Yeah,
he was going for the CIA. They was going to go dump
for
that in
sure,
the
because they used to drop that shit.
Yeah, that's when they go drop that in the hood.
Now, Ing's plan had been as foolproof as it wasn't as foolproof as he thought it would be. Too many people had been involved. He kept asking people to, join him and help him and do all types of shit and be there when he needed. And someone had leaked vital information. So Ing was court-martialed. He was convicted for theft, and he was sentenced to 14 years in military prison. But he only served a short period because Ing escaped. Ing is not going to be... Nobody puts Ing in a corner.
Okay. Maybe not going to the corner.
Ing later spoke of the incident. He said, I was interrogated by Special Agent Thomas Lafreniere until the early morning hours. At the squad base, he recalled, one of the chasers was talking on the phone and the other was sitting back smoking. I was allowed to freely wander about the office with very little security precautions being taken. I noticed the rear window was open, and I was very concerned that the information I'd given to the agent might be put in danger with the syndicate because of syndicate. That's an operative term, because of Slicks and Mitchum, who were the people he had involvement, and that my testimony would get Williamson into trouble. So I decided to escape through the window. He was like, instead of snitch, I just prefer to run.
Look, CIA.
Snitches don't get stitches.
He was accidentally left the window open.
We just gonna leave a weapons dealer free? Now, while the chasers weren't paying attention, he said, I went through the back window. I ran across the field to Makapu School. I went directly to the residence of a Corps member / friend of mine. He came to the door and asked me what I was doing. I told him that I'd been framed for the weapons theft and asked him to put me up for the night. He agreed and told me that he and his wife would take care of me as long as they could. I took a shower, went to sleep. Ing's benefactor provided breakfast and clothing. He was good until the next morning.
There are so very few people in life that I would be like, you came and were like, I'm on the run from the law. And I'd be like, well, come on in.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
Now-
like 3.
Now, during his breakfast, the phone rang and the pal, his friend, spoke with an agent of the NIS who asked if he'd seen Charles Ng. The agent made it clear that anyone attempting to give assistance to the fugitive would be severely prosecuted. So when he hung up the phone, he told him, like, you got to get the fuck out of here. He said, so they gave Ng food, water, and clothing, and then drove him to a remote area where he could camp out. He was stuffed in the trunk of his helper's car, and then Ng rode for a long time, then crawled out at a place he recognized as the Junkyard Road, marked on the maps as Quarry Road. And bidding his friend goodbye, Ng picked out a hidden spot as a campsite.
Ooh.
That night, the friend returned to inform Ng that the NIS had distributed a photo of him all over the base and was offering a $500 reward. And he asked Ng to turn himself in, but Ng was like, absolutely not. And Ng asked him to contact his other buddies and collect some money to help him get away. But the effort failed, so the helper coughed up $20 of his own, along with a few supplies purchased at the 7-Eleven. And Ng was like, before he left, he shook hands, and I knew that he wasn't going to be able to help me anymore.
Inflation's a mug.
Look,
$20.
$20.
He running out of town with $20.
Now, somehow Ng's ass ended up back in California on a plane.
How did you get on an airplane? What is that happening?
Before TSA. Now, Leonard placed an advertisement in the Survivalist magazine. Now we're back to Leonard, seeking like-minded individuals who wanted to join in his survivalist lifestyle and to help him build
That's where they found each other.
Yep. And to help him build a remote, self-sufficient compound. So Ng, who had the background in military, responded to the ad. Of course. Now, meanwhile, Charles, he arrived to the property to hide out. And these two were peas in a fucking pod. Yeah. Both were Marine. Both were super obsessed with survivalism. They both walked around in camo, talking about guns and shit. Now, remember, the plan was to make a bunker. So Ng could possibly help with this. And at the time, Leonard was managing a motel where he was known for spying on guests while they were in the jacuzzis. He was just a pervert. But when he brought Ng into the situation, he drew a lot of unwanted attention to himself because on April 29, 1982, the FBI raided the Philo Motel after receiving a tip that Ng was living there.
That makes sense. I mean, it's a town of 150, I assume white people. And now this random Asian dude is here.
Random Asian. They caught Ng trying to jump out of a window and hauled him off to Ukiah County Jail.
That makes sense.
When they questioned Leonard, he was, quote, a guest who helped with odd chores. Lake also granted written permission for the officers to search the compound, and they turned up 6 handguns, 6 rifles, several of them fully automatic, along with hand grenades, TNT, a silencer, tear gas, and several boxes of ammunition.
Okay.
Lake stood by. He was observing, what they were finding or whatever, trying to act cool and shit. And he was like, I know that these are illegal.
You think? Just a little bit, right?
A little bit. And he also volunteered that Ng had bought a MAC-10 and with a sound suppressor and converted it to a fully automatic weapon. And it was illegal. But Leonard claimed that he didn't know where Ng had hidden it.
Oh.
Now, a few other stolen guns.
All of that, though.
So, Ng literally is a fugitive. He brought all these weapons to your compound. Oh, just blame the Asian. So, where was I?
It's convenient. I mean, he's already being
investigated. So why not pin the weapons on him?
Here you go. He's being investigated for weapon stuff.
Exactly. So Lake claimed he didn't know where Ng had hidden anything. A few other stolen guns were found in Ng's room, along with martial arts weapons. Lake claimed to know nothing about Ng's situation. He told the officer that most of the guns on the property had been purchased by Ng. When they found all of the hidden guns, Leonard said that they were all Ng's, sent to the motel prior to his arrival. So he was determined to track down, they were determined to track down the MAC-10. The officer called the county jail and they got Ing on the line. And Ing said that he had taken the gun apart and left the pieces on the table in his bedroom before he ran. But even after the second search, they didn't find anything. Then Lake told the officers, it's in the laundry hamper. And he got down on his knees, dug through some dirty clothes, pulled out a few of the missing parts, and then outside behind the workshop, he shifted a pile of logs in a junk heap and found the rest there. Now, with his head down, Lake admitted, the gun's registered to me. He said, I knew Ing made it fully automatic, so I didn't want anyone to find it. He confessed that while the officers were busy catching Ing, he quickly grabbed the rifle parts from Ing's room. And he just started scattering them all over the place to hide them. Now, the officers then arrested Lake and sent him to county jail in Ukiah with the deputy. Cricket was left behind. She didn't get arrested. Lake posted bail, but was looking at prison time for the weapons, and some of the weapons were missing serial numbers. He was charged with 17 felony counts. Lake ain't the jail type.
He don't seem like he would.
He failed to show up to the hearing and he went on the fucking run.
I bet he did.
And Cricket went back to her parents. He was like, bitch, okay,
go.
if you ain't running, you got to get the fuck up out of here.
Me.
Now, Ing was shipped back to Hawaii to face court-martial. Lake would jump around from hotel to hotel using many different aliases, stealing, selling guns. Sometimes he would head off to his friend Charles Gunner's home with him and his wife. Charles Gunner was this fat guy that Leonard loved to call fat. Gunner was freaky too, though. He wanted Lake to sleep with his wife.
Okay.
But he didn't want his wife to tell him about it. He didn't want to watch.
Oh.
He just wanted her to do it. According to the wife, she did sleep with Leonard once. Lake's sex drive was crazy. He was a predator. He was placing ads. He was trying to take pictures of women to sell. He was manipulative as fuck.
He was a pimp. We've already established that.
He would tell women his entire life that
he hasn't started messing with a little boy somewhere.
Seriously, he was just really. It's something about women. He would tell women his entire life and then talk about how terrible his childhood was. He would just talk about his swan song. Oh, my mom sent me to the orphanage and everybody hates me type of shit. And they're like, okay. Now she's this girl that he's fucking with, Charles Gunner's wife or whatever. Yeah, she's engaging in all of this shit because Charles Gunner, for some reason, does whatever the fuck Leonard tells.
I just don't understand how he just has all these people just doing this.
Now he's with Cricket, of course, and at this time he and Cricket are separated, but they still hold on to the relationship because they still fucking each other. She sleep with him, and she's also taking money from him. Now he found
Where does he get money from? He's on the run.
Yeah, he's a thief.
Oh, right.
He's a hustler. He found another woman, another girl he wanted to sleep with, and the goal was to get Cricket and the girl pregnant at the same time.
Oh, okay.
They ended up meeting. They actually ended up being cool with each other.
I mean, if I was him and I had all these manipulative powers, why not go for women that got money?
Go be a billionaire. Yeah. Now, be the Tinder swindler. It's also important to note that, at this time he's spending more time with his mother and his siblings. And this isn't probably because he loved them. It was more because he needed them. I mean, he still thought Donald was pretty useless. He told Donald, he took Donald up north to fill a job as a house sitter, and Donald never came back.
Oh, he finally killed him.
Donald was never seen again. And Donald's disability payments started to be rerouted to Leonard.
So
nobody seemed to ask a lot of questions.
Where was his mom? What the mama say? The mama was just like, "Oh fuck! Finally, I was done. I was done with this anyway."
Scared of him. I think she was scared of him. Now, this is what was in his journal. Must close down Donald. Receiving and cashing the checks could turn into his worst fucking nightmare. Incarceration. Yep. He did not want to go to jail. Well, he said must close down Donald. He was basically using Donald for payments.
Yeah.
So now Leonard kept journals, and in his journals, he talked about his love for cricket alongside his plans for getting back into the rural countryside so he can have more privacy for his operations, which he called ops, which were basically just crimes. And in late February...
Those are operations. Crimes can be operations.
Basically.
It's an operation. It's a plan.
Yep. In late February, he wrote of a visit to a stage area that appeared to be the ranch where he had lived several years. Of his late night arrival, he wrote, quote, "No moon, heavy clouds, slept usual place, awoke around 0900, stayed in the bed till noon, heavy rains on and off, then low fog, checked out number of possible targets, all occupied, all buttoned up against weather, disappointing. Picked up approximately $20 worth
taking
of
notes here.
Yes, this is his journal. Picked up approximately $20 worth of loose goods. Barely covers expenses. Difficult, dirty, wet." End quote.
Okay.
Now, another failure in his life. No, this is what he said. He said another failure in the life of Leonard Lake. His diary entry for February 19 notes that he videotaped the motion picture version of The Collector. That night he wrote, "The Collector. Has it really been nearly 20 years I've carried this fantasy? And Miranda, how fitting, my lovely little prisoner of the future. I suppose in my way I'm the same wimp as the hero, and in my way just as crazy. I have no doubt that we wimps have been compensating for our inability since the dawn of history. Sad, really. Still, how can we die if we never live?"
Okay, somebody.
It's a lot.
Should go back to therapy.
There's a lot.
He's a wimp. Okay.
So
well, at least he knows. He
knows.
He's
He's
pretty
aware.
self-aware.
Yeah. So Leonard ends up in I cannot say this. Wileseyville, California,
okay,
where Cricket's father owned a cabin. Now, he worked on the cabin and thought of how he would use it for his own personal desires. And Leonard would come up with a new plan for making money since the weed wasn't working out. So he tried to invite his friend Charles Gunner to the cabin. Charles said, nah, but Leonard was persistent. He called this Operation Fish because he thought Charles was fat as hell and Gunner would call himself an orca. Now later, Leonard invites him again. April 5th, 1983, quote, "Left early for Calaveras with Charles, arrived, completed trench for gas line, installed water filter, insulated hot water pipes, made videotape of Charles. Operation Fish failed. Charles is simply too heavy to move. Sigh. The fact that I have to move the object without help to total security, but a few days later he reconsidered, having thought of new options. I believe I have found an acceptable plan for Fish. A new hole, a winch to move the weight, also acid. He even tried to poison Gunner to knock him out, but he failed. Later, Gunner would let Leonard move in with him.
Oh, okay.
And shortly after, Gunner disappeared. And Leonard started taking care of his two daughters.
Okay.
Charles whipped his oldest girls today. I've seen him hit his children before, but I've never seen him actually tear into one with the force of a belt. I have fantasized about whipping a young woman before, but watching him whip a little girl was too much for me. He watches TV, has time to watch stupid comedy over and over, but nothing of any historical or educational worth. He has time to make a play for his favorite lady, time to yell at his children, time to sleep 12 to 14 hours a day, but no time to read except comic books or the Sunday funnies.
Well,
he lives in a clean house only by virtue of the fact that his girls must do the cleaning. He sows not, nor does he labor. Oh, he reaps.
Is this 1800s?
Gold in the form of government handouts.
This sounds like the 1800s. End quote.
No,
Oh.
I'm a dangerous person. Society would worry if they knew I existed and what I was up to. But more than my victim, I am the most suitable of victims. I don't exist in the official world. No job, no taxes, no one to keep track of me day to day. If I were to disappear, it might be months before anyone would wonder. And then what could they do? He started taking care of Gunner's children. Now, for a while, he did this.
What do his children think? Where does Gunner?
Apparently, they did miss him because the father was an abusive piece of shit.
Okay. We're not getting beat. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he tried to convince Gunner's wife to hold off on divorcing him so he can continue to get the disability payments.
Wait.
I
forgot the wife was there.
I will also say it's given H.H. Holmes. I don't know if you remember H.H. Holmes, but H.H. Holmes was a grifter like this. Yeah, where he would fucking murder people, start getting life insurance policies on people and shit. It's also given Osage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you don't have to worry about coming back, Lake assured her. I'm sorry. I skipped a part. He said he got so he said the only way I can stop getting the payments is if Charles is dead. This is what the wife is saying. He said, you don't have to worry about him coming back. She said, how do you know? Lake tried to avoid answering, but then Vicky was like, how do you fucking know? At last he explained, well, I have something on him. I videotaped him beating one of his daughters. I gave it to my sister. If he ever shows his face around here again, it's going to be in the authorities' hands. He eventually handed Gunner's daughters off to a friend of Gunner's. Because he was like, I can't take it. These kids. He's like, I'm crazy as fuck. Now, where's Aang? Where's Aang?
He's in jail.
Aang has been keeping in touch with Lake. He's been kicking it in the barracks in Leavenworth in Kansas. Okay. And he has been in touch with Lace. Now, while he was in jail, Charles started like sharing his criminal plans with his friend in jail. Quote, he went from simple bank jobs to talking about stealing military missiles and shooting down 747s. The ideas, grandiose ideas included mass murder as well. He would say no pain, no gain, and kill, kill, kill.
Okay.
He chanted that a lot.
He got out?
Now, the friend's account of Ng's plans, Charlie wanted to bomb a bus station and cause the crash of a jetliner to kill a large number of people in a single blow. And Cardi, the friend, Ng loved to talk about sexually torturing women. And, quote, he had a real imagination for it. When Ng shared the photos that Lake would send him, he described to his friend the bunker. And the friend was sitting there like, what the fuck are you talking about? He was like, it's gonna have a torture room in it. And like, we're gonna have video cameras and it's gonna be in the woods.
So nobody's gonna find us because nobody's gonna be able to hear them scream.
And he's like trying to invite Cardi into it. And Cardi is like, I'm good. Now, scouting for this perfect torture chamber was fucking key. In the meantime, Leonard's going through women and scamming and building this chamber. Like, he is fucking scamming the fuck out of everybody
he started using his charm
for money. Now, according to court documents, when the defendant, meaning Ng, was court-martialed, Lake sent him photos of the construction of the bunker, and the defendant did not know that Lake was building a place to keep sex slaves, end quote. Yeah. Okay. Now, Charles was, because I read the court doc. No. Now, Charles was into whatever Leonard wanted to do and considered him and Cricket family. He would couldn't wait to get back to California. And Leonard was bouncing around, but eventually settled into Cricket's family cabin. Now, Lake was very actively building the dungeon, and this dungeon was designed for the sole purpose of imprisoning, torturing, and murdering women.
Okay.
Operation Miranda commenced in 1984. July 11, 1984, Donald Giulietti, this is an interesting one, a 36-year-old radio DJ from San Francisco, was at his apartment waiting for a visitor. Giulietti, an openly gay man, lived with his partner, Richard Carrazza, and Giulietti had placed a personal ad offering oral sex to straight men in an underground Bay Area newspaper called The Spectator. That night, when someone knocked on his door, he thought it was a response to the ad. But when he opened the door, a man pulled out a gun and shot him in the head at close range.
Okay.
Carrazza ran into the room, his lover, and found Giulietti on the floor, and he had also got shot in the chest.
Oh.
The attacker fled, but Carrazza survived and called 911. And he described the shooter as being a small Chinese man with glasses.
Oh.
July 25th, 1984, Harvey Dubs, 30, his wife Deborah Dubs, 33, and their 1-year-old son, Sean, lived in San Francisco. Harvey had advertised video equipment for sale. Dubs would professionally film weddings, christenings, and other events and rent out his video equipment. Deborah mentioned on the phone that 2 men interested in the items had arrived at their apartment. The family was never heard from again.
Okay.
A neighbor saw an Asian man leaving their home with a black oblong suitcase and later observed a vehicle driving away with the same man in the passenger seat and a bearded man driving. Another neighbor saw the same Asian man leaving with a duffel bag and a suitcase and later saw him get into a 1984 Volkswagen Rabbit that sped off. Quote, the Asian man who wore thick glasses jumped as if startled too and moved down the steps toward her carrying a bulky, heavy duffel bag in one hand and a stuffed flight bag in the other.
Oh, the baby was probably in a flight bag.
October 15th, 1984, Randy Jacobson, 35, from San Francisco, went missing after trying to sell a car to Dre. You were like, who the fuck is Dre? Randy Jacobson and Maisha McLennan had an old van that was racking up parking tickets. When, quote unquote, Alan Dre hinted he might want to buy it. So McLennan, excuse me.
That's your foot.
That's my foot. McLennan was all for it. So one morning, June 1984, Dre showed up unannounced at Jacobson's place to talk about the van. And McLennan, in a rush to get to school, told him to check it out and see if he wanted it. And then Dre was like, hey, do you need a ride to school? And Jacobson was like, sure. She accepted. And during the ride, Dre talked about how he was separated from his wife, how he had a marijuana farm, and how he loved photography.
It's not Dre.
McLennan said that Randy, when she got to the school, to let him know everything was okay. She called to let, hey, I made it to the school. Everything's cool, blah, blah, blah. But after the classes, Randy never showed up and she spent the night waiting for him. 3 days later, she found a note in the mailbox, supposedly from Randy, saying he'd gone to San Jose to help a friend named Steve with a drug operation and would be back in a week. These people are like, openly criminal.
They're just like telling their whole lives. Like, yeah, but I'm selling drugs. I'm about to go work.
The shaky handwriting didn't seem like Randy's, but she didn't worry too much because he disappeared before. Oh, okay. When Randy, still didn't return.
I'll never just disappear.
I know. Neither will I. I mentioned that on another episode. I'm like, if my purse is here, my dog is here, my keys are here, my car is here. So I didn't go. McLennan asked around the neighborhood, but no leads. And she even checked his bank account and saw that his Social Security checks were being cashed. Oh. So she assumed he was okay, and no one thought to call the police.
Everybody on Social Security?
Yep.
Okay.
These are a band of misfits. November 2nd, 1984, Paul Costner. He was 39. He was last seen in San Francisco on November 2nd. Now, he was a used car dealer who had advertised a car for sale and mentioned a weird potential buyer. Costner never returned home. On the same day, Lake made another journal entry saying,
really listen to themselves.
But seriously, met Charlie, performed op, met resistance for the first time, unsuccessful in obtaining credit cards or bank codes, drove to country for completion, canceled Charlie's running debt to me. November 9th would be his last entry.
Okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Them edibles be crazy. They be drying the fuck out of your throat.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine that.
Okay. We good now.
No, yeah.
Now, this is riveting. Am I working? Okay, I'm working. I'm cooking. Okay, so he typed. And so life goes on up here. On alternate days, it has rained and I've done nothing. He mentioned the possible arrival of another woman he met.
Ooh, okay.
She may come up this weekend. If she does come, I expect to screw her. Why else would a woman over 40 travel 100 miles to visit a man she doesn't know if she doesn't want to be screwed?
How did you meet her? The internet didn't exist. How are you meeting
Paper,
people?
Nigga, letters.
Like,
letters.
What the hell?
Niggas were putting personals in.
I can't even get somebody to come 2 miles to
Look,
see me.
you were like, damn. Been playing with vid equipment, walking the dog, general stuff. As ever, reading a lot. Tonight, I retyped all my written journals. Ends here. So then on November 16th, 1984, Cheryl Lynn Porter, a.k.a. Cheryl Acaro, 25 years old.
He's dating adults now.
Yeah. Well, he ain't dating.
Well, sleeping with adults.
He ain't doing that either.
Oh, okay.
He just hunting adults.
Oh, that's okay. Good point. Good point. At least he's not killing kids.
Yeah, there's that. Now, Cheryl, who was wheelchair bound, disappeared from Pink Palace rooming house. That's Now, January 20th, 1985, Clifford Parento, I think it's French, Parento, 23, worked with Ng at the Dennis Moving Company and was last seen in San Francisco. His friends noticed that his motorcycle was missing, but he wasn't answering the calls or the door or
also
anything.
Weird that they don't have a type. They just killing everybody.
Yeah. And later, an envelope arrived at Dennis Moving Company addressed to Richard Dodens, the guy who organized this Super Bowl betting pool that actually the victim won. And so
that sucks.
There was a note type and it was like, hey, bro, I was hoping that Dennis would give you my address and you just mail my winnings.
Okay.
Since I haven't heard from you yet, I'm sending along an addressed envelope to save you the trouble of spelling my name. Hey, how about them Niners, huh?
That's okay.
At the bottom, they signed Clifford's name. Then enclosed the envelope that was addressed to Clifford in a whole other city called Mokelumne Hill, California. Okay, but the letter was postmarked in Wileseyville. Yeah.
Didn't think that all the way through. Huh?
Nope. And then the owner of the company, the moving company, also got a note that read, Dennis, sorry to leave on such short notice, but a new job, place to live, and a honey came along.
And a honey.
All at once. Please send me my check for the last 3 days I worked and my W-2 to my new address below.
Okay.
Now, February 24th, 1985, Jeffrey Gerald, 25, a mover at the Dennis Moving Company as well, and a drummer for a group called Crash and Burn, vanished after he went to help Ng move.
I just would stay away from Ng at this point.
Yeah, he's trouble. April 12th through the 15th. Now, this is rough. Brace yourself. Okay. I don't have nothing to drink but this water, and it's stressing me out. April 12th through the 15th, 1985. Michael Carroll, 22, and his girlfriend Kathleen Allen, 18, went missing after Carroll left their motel room in Milpitas, California. Kathleen received a call saying Michael, who has served time in Leavenworth with Ng, was at Lake Tahoe and possibly shot. She left work to go to Lake Tahoe, but was last seen getting in a car with a bearded man. They held Kathy for several days. Quote, she found herself being stripped naked while a video camera recorded the terrifying sequence of events. Leonard Lake's words to her hinted that her boyfriend, Mike Carroll, had been killed. So that's why she even left with him. In this video, Kathy was wearing only pantyhose with a rip in the crotch. She's seen giving Charles Ng, who's naked, a back massage. The camera either is set up on a tripod or it is being filmed by Lake. Captures Ng lying face down on the bed while Kathy straddles his legs, rubbing his lower back and buttocks. Ng can be heard saying, "Get my ass too."
He was like, he want his booty.
He want his booty. Booty massages are great. They're perfect. And he lifts his left legs and start caressing her butt and hips with his heel. Now you got your feet on me.
Yeah, sure.
Now, in the final session with Kathy, Lake set up a camcorder on a tripod and moved around the scene. He was snapping like all pictures of her in these revealing lingerie pieces. And at the start of the tape, Kathy is lying face down on a brown and white bedspread wearing only cut-off jeans. Her wrists are handcuffs, her ankles are bound, and Lake steps into the frame and he's like just examining her, eyeing her body, and he goes, "Not bad." Anyway, I very much intended to keep my promise, and I couldn't say that I have. I told you there's a lot of things I'd like to do with you that I know that you wouldn't like. He then removes the handcuffs, but leaves the leather straps around her ankles. And Kathleen didn't respond. Lake moved around the green walled room because the room was green, adjusting the lights mounted on the tripod. His German Shepherd in the doorway, and Kathy glanced nervously at the dog. She probably like, is this motherfucker
gonna eat me?
Yeah, exactly. Now holding up the 35 millimeter camera, he starts adjusting the light, and then he goes, "Would you look over here, please?" Even though it shouldn't matter to me what you look like or don't look like, I've tried to respect your feelings as best I can, but when I tell you to do things, they're important to me, and I want you to do them. And he adjusted the light. And Kathy took his instructions. Her face was completely blank. And Lake continued. He goes, "Can you turn your head around?" "Yeah, that's it. Just lay on the bed if you want. I really want you, or actually expect you to do them. And you haven't." And she says, "What haven't I done?" I'm talking about me telling you not to beat on doors and make noise, because she had been making noise. I didn't beat on it. It's just that her voice trails off. And then, he comes in and she's super sad. And he's like, "I'm afraid you did beat on it. Those latches were chosen specifically. Whether you beat or push, the metal would never break." He accused her of putting too much pressure on the hinges and causing,
So I'm trying to escape because you have me locked
exactly.
Up,
he accused her of putting the pressure on there too. I think he was also looking for a reason to
justify what he's about to do.
Yes, to make her just seem incredibly disobedient. It's like, no, duh, she's going to try to escape.
Yeah.
But he's like, "I'm asking you not to," because it's about control too.
Yeah, it's about control.
"This leaves me disturbed, and I realize no one heard you. I showed you those cyanide pills, and I'm trying to tell you the truth. They're never going to take me alive. Hopefully, no one ever going to catch me doing these things. But if they did, I'd die. The fact that you'd die is immaterial right now.
Oh.
I don't want you to die. I don't want to die. The best way to avoid that is for neither of us to get caught."
Okay, so you stop beating on things.
Yeah.
So I don't get caught.
Basically.
And you won't die.
That's it. So I guess my question is, what do I need to do to prove I'm serious? This is what Kathy said. "Are you asking if you can hit me?" Kneeling by the bed, his face is real close to hers. He says, "No, I'm not asking if I can hit you. I can hit you very easily. I don't want to." Well, let me correct that. Erotically, it would turn me on. I'd get a real thrill out of it, but I'm still trying to hold on to some sanity. There's a conflict within me between what I want to do and what I think I should do. Because I promised you, and that's what we might call the decent thing to do. I'm going to go hammer those hinges back flat, and I don't want to see them bent again. I don't want to hear anything. Let me make this clear. If there's ever any circumstances that leads me to think that you're trying to make noise, even if no one else hears you, you will be whipped severely. Oh. Now tell me you understand.
I guess I understand.
Kathy is terrified. She says, "I understand." Good. Some girls are into pain, Kathy, but I don't think you are. If you were, I wouldn't feel as guilty about giving in to my darker impulses. You're still partially a stranger. You don't know my name, and you're going to leave, and I'll never have to deal with you again. Rats, that I can even talk to you like this. Obviously, I don't confess my sadistic tendencies to the average person. I don't know if you should feel flattered or not, but at least I'm being honest with you.
Oh, well, there's that. Women always want honesty.
We do. Now, he released her arm out of the shackles. He fumbled, whatever. Oh, screw it. Can you take those straps off yourself?
Oh.
And she says,
a mind game. He's trying to like.
Oh, yeah. I think so, yeah. Are they too tight? This one's cutting off my circulation, she said. Okay, take off your jeans and panties and put these on. She did. She slipped off her cuffs and her underwear, her jeans, and then dropped them on the floor. She was moving real calm. She was like, I'm not going to make any sudden movements. She was being super compliant.
That's how dogs attack.
Exactly. She was very upset, though, obviously. And he chatted casually like she was a willing model.
Dude is like...
He's nuts. He asked if the revealing outfit was comfortable. Kathy mentioned the waistband seemed fine. She said, I have heavy hips and heavy legs. He ignored that. And then he started rambling about his IRS girlfriend.
Okay.
He said, I actually met her when I was 3 years old. I was 19. Oh, well, she was 3 years old. Excuse me.
Oh.
I was 19 visiting her house. She got up at some ridiculous hour and I took her out to play. But she was naked as a puppy when she came running into the room. So I put what I thought were her clothes on and let her go outside. Kathy listened because she was like, okay. And then she started talking about what she was doing. And she was like, is this inside out? And then, then he was like, anyway, when she came back.
What, like, just fuck what you're talking about. I was telling you a story.
And her mother gave me a big lecture. I guess I did everything wrong. I put her panties on backwards. I didn't know they had a front back. And I put her shirt on backward too. And I thought her shirts were like mine, buttoning in the front, but hers button in the back. He's like, I even put trousers on her, which apparently is not something you put on a 3-year-old girl to let her go outside to play. In general, I messed up. Like, this is just him.
Like, just rambling.
So he checked his camera and he tells Kathy, she's standing on the bed, she's adjusting her panties. And then he goes, okay, hop on the bed, please. I didn't see her again for 20 years. He's still talking about this kid. And what 20 years will do for a 3-year-old.
Yeah, they'll turn 23.
I know you're not trying to do anything foolish like smile, but you have such a pretty face. Even when you're not smiling, you've got like this sultry look. The guys would find it very attractive. Okay, take that off. There are only 2 more pictures left, by the way. Notice I haven't done any full nudes. And she's like, okay,
thank you.
And he continued. He's like, personally, I don't find full nudes very attractive. I think a woman should always have. Then Kathy interjects and she says, they don't leave anything to the imagination. And he's like, right, exactly. Well, I've done full nudes before, but. And then he kind of like trails off. And then he goes, here, try this on. It may actually fit you. It probably will.
Oh.
So in his journal, Lake had written like all of this shit about conditioning a female and having her obey his every command. And then he would like, she would eventually start enjoying it.
Yeah, because it's Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. And so Kathy had been under his control for several days at this point, and her behavior on the tape started to show signs of brainwashing.
Yeah.
Now
at some point you start to just comply and make it as comfortable as possible
because you've survived
you have to,
this long. Yeah. So you just assume it's going to prolong your survival. Yeah. That's okay. He tossed her more lingerie, a white lace bra, black slip. Try this on. You mentioned you were religious. Are you still? That's what you heard me saying in the bathroom this morning when you walked in. Did you notice I was kind of mumbling? And he says, oh yeah, that's actually why I went in to check up on you. I thought you were gearing up for a kamikaze wrist slash, and I was going to tell you. So, no, I was just saying my morning prayers.
Oh, okay. Like, I mean,
He goes, jump in the bed.
That's what religion does. It tells you can do whatever you want, and then just ask that deity at the top and be like, can you forgive me, please?
Yep.
And you go to heaven.
Yep. No. I was just doing my morning prayers. He says, jump in the bed, please look at me. He grumbled. And she's like, okay, stay. He's like, okay, stay there. Now take your bra off. She slips her bra off, trying to do shit like she's been modeling her whole fucking life. He asks, do you ever wear bras that fasten in the front? And then she says, yeah, I used to. This one's kind of tricky. Like she's really
hard to comply.
He's like, need some help.
Somebody taught her.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, well, I don't know. There's a little string. It's stuck. And he says, okay, put your legs out in front of you. Sit on the bed instead of leaning on it. There you go. That's it. And he slipped into the role of like a fashion photographer.
Is he like really, he's like directing again.
Yeah. And he's like, that's it. She leans back lean back slightly. This is what he says. He says, lean back slightly. I should have these photos developed before you leave. If that's worth anything, you can see them. He was like, there you go. Now get dressed, get warmed, get ready to go outside because that's where we're headed next. By the way, Kathy, you've given up smoking for 4 days or however long you've been here. Wouldn't this be a good time to
have a cigarette?
That's why I shake a lot. She said, it's the nicotine I want. He said, right. That's what happens if you go without it for a month or two. After a while, you'll stop shaking. Yeah, I'll quit, but I don't want to quit. It's not something I want to do. Okay. I just want you to know that I'm giving this stuff to you under protest, not that we care, of course.
Okay. Like, you shouldn't be doing this. That's why you're shaking. You should stop so you can stop shaking. But
then there's that. Now, here we go. April 19th, 1985, Lonnie Bond Sr., his girlfriend, Brenda O'Connor, 20, their son, Lonnie Bond Jr., and a family friend, Robin Scott Stapley, 26, disappeared. They had recently moved next to Lake and had conflicts with him. Quote, Brenda endured Lake's unwelcome suggestions to pose nude, but these come-ons frightened her, and her husband was all right, fuck it. Me and Lake need to have a conversation. But
he should have.
Went and he was armed with a 22 and he got his homeboy and they had a gun, but none of them were ever seen again, including the child. Well. Now, the disappearance remained unsolved and appeared unrelated until June 1985 when Ng and Lake attempted to steal a $75 vice from a lumber store. Now, while Lake talked about the police, Ng left the scene. Officers searched Lake's vehicle. He was arrested for possessing a firearm with an illegal silencer. And when the police examined Lake, they realized that he didn't match the photo on his driver's license, which was under the name Robin Scott Stapley. His identity was confirmed through fingerprint analysis. And while he was in the interrogation room, quote, in a soft, deliberate voice speaking slowly, he had identified his companion who had stolen the vice as Charles Cheetut Ng, adding that Ng had served time in Leavenworth. Then he completed writing the note on which he scrawled, Dear Lynn, I love you. I forgive you. Freedom is better than all else. Tell Janet I'm sorry. Mom, Patty, and all. I'm sorry for all the trouble. Love, Leonard. He folded the paper, stuffed it in his shirt pocket. Before the handcuffs could be put back on him, Leonard Lake reached in under his collar, pulled out a cyanide pill, and gulped it down with a quick swallow of water. Moments later, he collapsed on the floor in convulsions. Lake never regained consciousness and died 4 days later on June 6th.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Not okay. Like, I think he should have went to jail and, like, paid for his crimes, and he went out like a wimp, though. Like, just like he was. Though. He knew he was a wimp. Like, that is such a...
But, it sucks because that's
also control,
the end
too, though.
of this part.
And you're going to pause on me like that.
That's the end of this part.
Okay. Are
you comfortable with that?
I am. I'm comfortable with that. And I'm gonna try people not to go look this up. I am not the most
don't look this
patient person in the world.
It's just more meat. I mean, we can keep going.
No, it's totally fine. I think this is a good stopping point. There's a
we've
been going for like 2 hours.
Yeah, it's 2 hours, and there's more meat. There's more meat. It's just, and the next one won't be this long at all. So
yeah, no, I think it's a good time.
Yeah, I think it is a good moment because now we know Lake is gone. We still got Ing's ass and the things that we're going to learn about Ing and just what they were doing, more of what they were doing through Ing's eyes.
Okay.
You know, because now Lake.
Oh, right. So the next episode will be more like Ing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Almost 9. We can go look at the DNC.
We can go look at the DNC.
You know.
I gotta walk Luna too because she's gonna shit on this floor.
Yeah, it's like perfect time. It's like 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
So like the
yeah, we got time.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make me another lemon drop.
Yeah, I'll have another lemon drop. And
I am so grateful that you all came back. I don't even know what to say.
I kind of forgot people were actually, you were
very into this story. And
I was,
so
I had really never heard of it. And this is also probably the most sober I've ever been on one of these episodes.
And you're high.
Yeah, I'm a little.
It's easier to stay focused on the story too, because sometimes when I read the story, I will not even know what I'm saying.
That makes sense.
Because my brain is not registering. In this, like, there's no, because I've already read this, but it's like there's no reading comprehension I can do when I'm trying to tell it all the time. So sometimes I'm like, wait, what part of the story am I on in my head?
That makes sense.
And then it's harder too when you are just like deciding to make something a two-parter because you're like, what is the good? I actually like the challenge of like figuring out that stopping completely point. Knowing when I want to
I think that was a really good point to stop. Like it didn't feel awkward. It was very good. Like cliffhanger, perfect.
Cliffhanger.
That was great.
So I'm not an asshole. Part 2 will be next week, not next week. After next week. Jesus Christ, I'm
right, because I feel like every time you do two-parters, you do them back to back.
I do them back to back, yeah. So you'll hear this one next week. And I hope you enjoyed it so far ish.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk a little more about Charles Ing's bitch ass and Leonard Lake when we see each other next week. See you on the potty.
Bye guys. Bye.